Oh, I'm sorry. Okay, ignore that weird look at the camera. That's okay. We'll just continue. All right. So we readjusted our settings, and we have 2,600 or 2,596 colonies. I'm happy with that. So we're just going to click done, and then we're going to start to go into the part where it's actually going to start picking. So it found 2,596 good colonies to pick, and it's only going to pick 2,300 because I said that I only want 6 plates picked. So it's going to only pick as many as I've defined, or as many wells as I'm providing, which in this case is 2,304. So I'm cool with that. I'm going to say OK. And then processing pause to view plate images. Select continue to continue with picking script. And then we're going to see that it wants us to load our plates, which we did in the very beginning. So this is the order again. It goes from down to up, so it's this weird order. And then we're happy with that. And then this is actually kind of important, inking depth. So it should be already set up the way, it should be fine, because I'm telling it what plate we're using, which is the Nunk 384 well. But I'm a little bit paranoid about it, so I want to adjust the inking depth. So the inking depth means how far into those pins go into the well. And by default you'll see that it will go, the head will come down. So if here's our head with the pins, it will come down and pretty much make contact with the top of that plate. That makes me a little bit nervous. One, because if something weird were to happen, I could imagine it crashing into it. That would be bad. But two, it should be fine, but if there was a droplet in the wrong place, you could get contamination between wells. So due to an abundance of caution, I adjust the inking depth and make sure that when it's inking or transferring the colony to the well, that it's back by about a millimeter or so. So I'm going to say yes. Here's the set inking depth dialog box. I'm going to hit adjust, and as soon as I hit adjust, we're gonna look over there and it's going to swing over. So adjust, and bang, and then you can see, if you look real close, there's like no space in between that 384 well plate. So I'm going to back it off by about 1,000, and all I had to do was press the up button on the Z-axis. It looked exactly like the set pin height dialog box. It's pretty intuitive, and I'll show you what it looks like over here. So all I did was press up. I set that to 1,000 and press up, and it just went up by a millimeter. I'm going to apply to all, and it says sterilize after adjustment, so it'll clean again. Apply to all. And it will say, do you want to do this to all things, because I'm not going to ask you again, and yes, we want to not be prompted again. And now it's going to quickly sterilize, and it should still be sterile, but it never hurts to be extra sterile, and also we're just going to wash some of that media off. And then it should dry, unless oh, there we go. And then we will be ready to pick. And then you just get to kick back and let the robot do your work for you. So right now the camera, this robot is basically moving around based only on the images that it took before. That camera is not going to be active at all. So if I was to move the plate out, you would still see this thing moving around, thinking that it was picking colonies. Again, because it's not actually seeing anything. It's kind of already determined it. Well, I don't know if it's already determined its path, but it's already kind of determined. It is a deterministic at this point. If I can't change what it will do if I was to pull all that stuff out. Okay, so we are good to go. I'm going to hit finish, and picking is now set up and ready to start. Are you ready to continue? Yes. And there we go. And now we can just admire this thing doing all of our work for us. And you can adjust how fast this thing moves around. I think right now we're moving, I don't know if we're moving at full speed. but we're going pretty quick. It has like a slow motion thing too. So that was 96 colonies it picked. So if you can pick 96 colonies that fast, I'll be very, very impressed. But that just sterilizes and dries and rinse, wash, repeat. It'll do that 4 times per 384 well plate, and at the end of its cycle, it'll just move on to the next 384 well plate until it's finished all of them. Now, one last consideration was at the very beginning of the video, or a couple of videos ago, I've forgotten how many. We were doing the pin height adjustment. Now, if you are a really good plate pourer and you're very confident that you've poured all of your plates at 200 mils per plate on a very flat surface, then you probably, you might not need to adjust it. But if there is any difference in height, then that pin may not hit the agar, or the opposite, it might go too far through the agar, and if it goes too far through the agar, you're going to be wiping that colony off. So that's why I like to redo that step every single time.
You mean prior to putting in a new plate?
Yeah, for every plate that I do. But, I mean, if you're picking a bunch of colonies off of one plate, then it doesn't really matter. Like, for us, we could have, originally that thing was ready to pick about 6,600 colonies, so that's, at least with the types of experiments that I would need to do for the time being, more than I would need. Cool, well, I'm going to let this go for a little while longer. If you guys have any questions, let me know. I've been bad about answering comments, but hopefully you enjoyed this and learned something, and see you soon.